The movie begins with a young man frantically trying to complete an escape room puzzle as the room he is in is closing in on him, and he is in danger of losing his life. He does his best to try and find the clues to get the riddle solved that will open the door to get out of the room, but he isn't having much luck. The room is about to close and squish him to death, but then we jump to a title card. Next, we meet Zoe Davis, a college student that takes her academics very seriously and plans on getting a PhD. A few other characters we meet are Jason Walker, a Wall Street businessman, and Ben Miller, a grocery store stocker that lives a pretty uneventful life. Back to Zoe, sitting in her dorm room one afternoon. She receives a package, but has no idea what it could be because she wasn't expecting anything. She opens it, and it is a random black box with no instructions on what to do with it. Ben and Jason both receive one as well, and they have no idea how to open it. It is a puzzle box, and after some research, they all are able to get theirs open, and on the inside is an invitation to participate in an escape room, and the winner will win $10,000. Game day comes a few weeks later, and everyone meets in the lobby, and we also are introduced to 3 others that will be playing the game as well. Their names are Amanda Harper, Danny Kahn, and Mike Nolan. They all receive the same invitation that the other 3 did, and are here to win some money. They all sit down and wait to get the game started, but no one gives them any instructions on where to go and how to start. Ben is getting impatient, so he goes to smoke a cigarette outside until they get started, but when he tries to open the door handle falls off, and they are all locked inside. Danny tells them they are already in the escape room, and the handle coming off started the timer. They all start looking for clues around the room, and Amanda sees the name Dr. Wooten Yu on all of the magazines, and Zoe sees one of the books is called Fahrenheit 9/11, and then out of nowhere, the ceiling turns into a big oven. Amanda asks the game master for a hint as they are supposed to be allowed 1 hint for every room, but no one responds. They look behind the glass window, and it isn't even a real person and is just a mannequin. Even more heaters turn on in the room, and the ceiling lights go dark. Amanda starts freaking out as she hates fire, and we can see she has a bunch of burns on her neck. Zoe then notices that they have to press certain buttons down to open the door into the next room. They work together for everyone to get through, and last to go is Ben, and he barely makes it because he had to set alcohol down in a cup to keep the door open long enough. But he makes it out alive before the fire incinerates him. Everyone makes it to the next room, and Amanda wants out and not to compete anymore. But no one responds, and it looks like she has no choice but to continue playing. They start looking for clues in the new room, and Mike notices a sign that says you'll go down in history. They think they are referring to presidents, but Ben realizes they are hinting at Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. We then see a flashback where Ben was drinking and driving with a few of his friends singing Rudolph in the car, and they were in a wreck shortly after, and he was the only one to survive. So he is a little freaked out the game makers would know about the details to the accident. The word Rudolph does solve the lock, and they are able to advance to the next room. They go into the next room, and it appears to be outside on a frozen lake. But it is just an illusion, and they are still in a locked room. The room is legitimately freezing though, and the ice they are walking on is real, and there is freezing cold water beneath them. The door they just entered through then shuts, and they are unable to open it, and go back into the room they just were in. Amanda finds a coat, and she tells the others they are trying to make them fight over it by turning the temperature all the way down, but only giving them 1 coat for heat. Mike finds a fishing pole, and he thinks they have to go ice fishing for the next clue. Mike is able to get something hooked, and when he pulls it out of the water, it is a big block of ice with a key in the middle of it. Danny starts walking around to see if he can find anything else to keep himself warm, but sadly he falls into the freezing cold water, and they are unable to locate him beneath the ice, and he sadly dies. They now understand this is all real and not just some game. Jason orders them to start putting their hands on the block of ice so they can melt it and get to the key. It takes them quite a while, but they eventually are able to remove the key and advance into the next room before all of the ice breaks open. The next room they go into is a pretty bad-ass one if you ask me. It is pretty much a billiard room, but everything is upside down. Mike notices the 8-ball is missing from the pool table, and as he is looking for it, the floor completely drops from beneath them, and this room is just that much harder now. Zoe sees a slide puzzle, so she goes to complete it, and after she is done, they all work together to decipher the code. More parts of the floor keep falling out, and Amanda is still on the opposite side of everyone else. She tries jumping over to them, but she doesn't make it, and she falls to her death. They have no choice but to move on. They advance through the door, and the theme of this next room is a surgical hospital setting. They start looking around, and Mike notices that each of their names have a section of the room made specifically for them. They all were in the hospital after an accident they recently had, and the game maker knows every little detail about them, which freaks them the heck out. All four of the remaining contestants left recently were the only survivor of a terrible accident, and they think this is why they were targeted for this game. The game maker is looking for the ultimate survivalist to play and win his game. Mike, Ben and Jason work together to put their X-rays together to see if they can find a hidden clue somewhere in there. As they are doing this, Zoe starts knocking out all of the security cameras throughout the room so that no one can see what they are doing from the outside. The guys come to the conclusion that they have to get the perfect heart rate on the monitor for them to open the door to get out of this room. Jason starts using the defibrillator on Mike, and it is to the point that Mike dies, but it still isn't working and Jason is getting very frustrated. The door then opens after Jason slows his own heart rate down, but Zoe isn't able to make it out of the room with Ben and Jason before the door closes, so she is stuck with the toxic fumes that are spreading in that room. It is now just Ben and Jason competing for the sole survivor in the escape room, and they realize that they are just trying to survive at this point. They don't care if they make it out together or not. The air in the room is starting to make them hallucinate and makes them feel as if they are on shrooms. They read a clue that they have to find the antidote if they want to survive the toxic fumes they are breathing in. They start fighting over the antidote, but Ben is able to knock Jason out, and then he sticks himself with the antidote and leaves through the exit. We then get to the room that we saw Ben trying to complete at the beginning of the movie where the walls start closing in on him, and if he doesn't solve it in time, he will be squished like a twig. He frantically starts searching around for clues all over the room. Jump back to the room that Zoe was left in, and guys in hazmat suits walk into the room thinking that she is dead, but then we see that she used an oxygen mask to breathe and fake her death, and they had no idea because she knocked out all of the security cameras in the room. She knocks out the guys wearing the suits, grabs their gun, and she goes out the way that they came in. Ben is to the point that he is almost just flesh, but he is able to hide himself in the fireplace, and he survives the room and escapes out of the door once it opens back up. He goes out of the door and ends up in some kind of warehouse room where he meets the game maker that put all of this together. The man congratulates him for being the sole survivor, but Ben is not having it, and he calls the game maker a murderer, and honestly, Ben isn't wrong. The game master asks him for any recommendations for the next game, and Ben says there will be no more games, and he will make sure this won't happen again. The master then tries strangling Ben with a rope wire, but Zoe shows up behind him with the gun and shoots at the game master. She misses her first shot, and they get into an altercation, but then Ben gets back up and shoots the game master dead once and for all. Zoe and Ben report the facility when they get out, but whenever the police and detectives go to check it out, there is no sign of anything that Zoe reported. The whole building has been cleared out and none of the rooms that she played in look like they have been used in years. The detective thinks she is making it all up and might just be high on drugs because they found some in Ben's body, so there is not much he can do about it. A few weeks later, Ben and Zoe are having coffee together one day, and Zoe shows Ben how much research she has done because she wants to find the people that did this to them and expose them for who they are. Ben wants her to drop it, but she has gone too far down the rabbit hole and can't drop it now, and Ben agrees to help her as well. The movie ends with the same company doing more tests for a plane ride escape room, and they want Zoe and Ben to be the first ones to play it. And that is it for this one, friends. Any other movies or series I should do? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.